Thank you for having me here this evening. It is a pleasure to be with you. I see a lot of familiar faces around the room that I've had a chance to work with over the years, and I know that this conversation is something that's a passion of mine. I was saying to our AARP folks here right beforehand, I started in architecture and I'm recovering from that, as I found that my passion is not the buildings themselves but the space between buildings, because I feel as if life occurs in that public space. And so somehow I have found my way to a wonderful spot with the city, and I'm happy to be here with you to talk about that today. So I will begin by just having us take a second and think about our streets. Most of the time when people think about streets, they think about we're in our car, we're moving from point A to point B, and we're trying to get there as quickly as possible. But as I just said, I feel like our streets and our public spaces are where life happens. It's where kids learn to ride bikes. It's where I walk down the street and wave hello to my neighbor. It's where I run into another dog walker and we learn who each other are. It's where I take my child and get her outside and learn to play and grow and have healthier lifestyles. It's where a lot of people will wait for the bus, go to their jobs. And so it's not just about getting in that hunk of metal and driving as fast as you can to get to your next place. So as I said, I think our streets are one of our biggest public assets that we often don't build or prioritize for the right thing. And it's something that we deal with across the country. It's not something unique to Lexington. Every city is dealing with this issue. And so we often forget that we are supposed to design these spaces for people and not just for those cars that move us. So I beg you to look at these photos because they're not of Lexington, but I think you could say we have instances that are like this, and that our streets are not always for the people. They are often only designed for the vehicles that we're in. And too often those roads lack facilities like sidewalks, for crossings to support mobility challenged individuals, not appropriate connections to get to transit stops, a number of issues that I think we all see representative throughout our community. Oh, and there we go, we're good. And so when we design streets for only the drivers, we leave a lot of people behind. We leave children, seniors, those with disabilities, those who rely on transit. And a stat that really I found astounding was that more than 30% of folks within Fayette County do not rely upon a personal vehicle every single day, whether that be of age, by choice, by means, whatever it may be. So we need to ensure that we are designing for that is a big number within our community. So that is why we are leaning into complete streets, and I'll dig into that just a little bit more. But also, designing our streets is a public health and safety issue. I think that we often forget that this is not just about making a pretty place and a comfortable place, but it's about saving lives. And so safety is a big piece of this puzzle. And again, another stat that really I found astounding was that in Fayette County, traffic fatalities are one of the leading causes of death, ranking below health issues like diabetes and heart disease, but above violent crimes and homicides. I mean, think about that for a second. That is a big stat there to say that we have this built environment that is leading to a number of deaths in our community. I think we all agree that preventable deaths are a tragedy. Any death is a tragedy. But if there's any way we can prevent some of these through our roadway design, we want to do that. And so complete streets is a philosophy. It is a set of tools for us to reduce risk, prevent tragedy, and build safer, healthier, more sustainable systems for those in the car and those outside the car. So first, we need to slow down people on our roadways. One of the most important things we can do is slow people down. Why? Because speed kills. This stat, this is from a national organization, but they have identified that when an individual is hit by a moving vehicle going 40 miles per hour, they have 85% chance of dying. If you are hit by a vehicle at 20 miles per hour, your chance of dying drops to less than 5%. Now, when we think about that, I don't know about you, but the extra 20 miles per hour that I took between one intersection to the next, more than likely wasn't worth that life. Not more than likely, it was not worth a life. So I don't mind slowing down one bit because most of the time I'm stop, go anyway. And so why not just keep a consistent pace throughout the whole corridor if we can, in order for us to make it a safer and more pleasant experience. So complete streets, when built, they make connections for us. We create a city that is more efficient, more affordable, more sustainable, while protecting our existing assets by making better use of our neighborhoods and streets. We have a lot of good communities, a lot of good neighborhoods, commercial corridors. How can we start to make better connections between them to serve those people who live, who work, who visit in a more efficient way? When we design with Complete Streets approach and with equity at the core, we also grow jobs. We boost our tax revenues. And still, we protect people who have been in these neighborhoods. We have ways of protecting those people as well as we proceed with these developments. So LFUCG has made a commitment. And all of this that I've just said kind of underscores why we made this commitment. Our Urban County Council and Mayor all supported the passage of our Complete Streets policy in December of 2022. And in 2023, a group of individuals, internal, external, some of you all in this room sat at those tables. I hope many of you participated in our surveys and public engagement, but all of that informed the creation of a Complete Streets action plan. And all of this was in an effort to set forth our means, our policy, and our plan that would apply to all transportation projects across Fayette County. So not just in the urban service boundary, but throughout the whole county. And that is applicable to brand new roadways, major redesigns and retrofits, and even to our routine maintenance. And as I mentioned, that plan was not done just in a vacuum. There was a lot of folks at the table who helped us create that and brought a lot of voices to us to inform this plan. And what we heard was clear. Everyone, no matter who they were, we heard be bold, go beyond the minimum standards, and build a connected network that works for us and puts our community first. But this plan is not just a vision, it is practical. It's a working, living document with clear priorities that outlines what we need to do over the first 3 years to really set the foundation for what a Complete Streets program would be. You all know that we have been building roads and working in our public right-of-way for decades. We know how to get things done. Now we have to lean back, step back, and say, how can we do this better? Where do we need to revise the way that we're working? And how do we need to embrace and develop more partnerships within our community in order to meet these goals? I want to just also say, it took us decades to get here, right? It took us decades to build our roadway system. So we also acknowledge that this plan does not mean that every road within our community will be, there it comes again, that not every road in this community, because the action plan was created, will be done overnight. It takes a long time to do infrastructure and to do it right. So we ask for the community's patience and your involvement as we begin down this new road for us to have better roadways for our community. So the action plan, this is a snapshot of what it is and what it includes, and you can see that on our website if you're so inclined to dig into the details. But of that plan, there are 39 specific tasks that are organized within 4 different categories around planning, design, operations, and safety specifically. It identifies clear goals and objectives for each of those, who the lead entities are, and identifies at what particular timeline we feel like we should move forward on those. We were pretty aspirational. I think we put a lot in there for the first 3 years. But as I said, it's a working, living document, and so we will continue to refine and build on that as we get things moving. Some significant things that I want to call out that have occurred over this first year is that we have a number of these initiatives underway. Internally, you may not see the inner workings of it, but there's a lot happening behind the scenes. In addition, you have 2 staff members now dedicated to this effort, myself as the Complete Streets Coordinator, and then we have recently approved a Vision Zero policy, which makes another commitment boldly from LFUCG to say we want to do everything in our power to design our roadways, to change behaviors, whatever we can do in our community to work towards 0 deaths and 0 serious injuries. And we have now hired a full-time staff member to manage that as well. So she and I work hand in hand. I'd also like to say that through this effort, as we are getting underway, we all understand, and again, as we were talking beforehand, change doesn't happen overnight. Measuring those things in inches sometimes is very important, and so meaningful change does take time. And so I know that a lot of what I'm doing is working on building trust and relationships, working across departments within government, and making sure this isn't just about the quick wins. It's about building those lasting systems so it outlives any mayor, any council, any appointed official, so that it becomes part of our process. I'll share just a few of the details of what we're working on. And again, there's a lot more that is underway, and I do look forward this summer to updating our website to have more details on each of those initiatives. And so please check in periodically, and that page will be at the end of this slide deck. But the biggest thing that is underway right now that will be most impactful is that we are updating and we're creating the Complete Streets Design Manual, which ultimately leads to us changing and updating roadway standards, any zoning, any ordinances. So there is a trickle effect, a domino effect as we do this. But this document is intended to be a guide for anyone who really plays a significant role in shaping that public realm on our roadways. So it'll be used by city staff, developers, community partners, anyone, as I said, who helps shape those streets. And the intent is for it not to be just that legalese language, as a lot of our zoning ordinances are, but for it to be a more illustrative guide, for it to be to be more user-friendly, because I think it's important as community members who may not work in this realm, also be able to open this and have an understanding of what it is being asked of each of these types of roadways as well. And so this will set forth clear standards so that when a roadway is being retrofit or being newly developed, we know exactly what the tools, the kit of parts are, and how that might work together. What I think is also very important for me to state is there is no one-size-fits-all model, period. That is, every roadway serves a different audience, a different use, and so we have to be very cognizant of that context. So we do not believe that this will be something that's just copy-paste throughout the community. We have we have a lot of expertise internal to government, as well as our consultants who are working on this to make sure that we refine this so that it is applicable to various transects throughout our community. And so what you have on the screen is an example from, I believe our consultants did this one as well, from another city. But you can see this guide is going to illustrate, but also show in pictorial format the differences between how we envision particular streets to occur in different contexts. The one at the top is more downtown, more urban, versus the one at the bottom, which is more of your typical suburban neighborhood, single-family residential. So there are a lot of differences in relation to where your sidewalks are, how they function, the types of trees, and the types of things that we're asking to be as part of that toolkit and that canvas along our roadway. Okay, there we go. I'm not sure why this is happening. So thank you for bearing with me. What else is happening? Well, there are projects, actual projects at different scales, but ultimately they all have the same goals of getting to that safety, sustainability, quality of life component. And so the three different types of projects, and I just lost everything on the screen up here, so I'll take a look over there. So the different scales of projects that we're looking at specifically, the top one is your demonstration and quick builds. Those are small. Those are maybe something that happens over a weekend to test some ideas, or things that go in very quickly over the matter of weeks versus months or years, as it might be for your large-scale capital projects. So for instance, if you've happened to drive down High Street recently as you approach from Chevy Chase toward Rose, that is an example of a quick build pilot. Neat. Thank you. So that particular project, it's a way for us to roll out an idea quickly, for us to test it. And quick builds are not intended to be the final product, but for us rather to not spend hours and hours on the design end. Granted, our engineers are doing plenty of that to make sure it's safe and it functions. But for us to roll out quickly in order for us to test and see how it works, tweak and figure out ways we might want to change that so that it informs our multi-million-dollar projects in the future, and we get it right then versus making very expensive mistakes down the road. So it also gives us a way to more quickly deal with some of our speeding, our safety concerns, and providing additional space for other users. For instance, that particular one added a bike lane that wasn't there before, a protected bike lane. So that is a means for us to get some quick wins as well. The other one being the large-scale capital projects. The bottom is Town Branch Commons. And so that is, to me, I mean, I was project manager for that project, so I'm a little biased, but I think it's a wonderful example of what a complete street can be. Now, granted, it is on the uber side of the significant scale, but it does show the transition of how you can still move traffic, keep cars functioning properly while also making it safe and comfortable and inviting, and incorporating those environmental components along your corridor. And then last is we're doing corridor studies, and that's kind of in between to say how do we study that. And we look at the land uses, we look at the housing, we look at everything that would occur along a full length of a corridor to inform how we might transition our street design in the future to accommodate new ways of incorporating transit or trails or other means and modes of transportation to accommodate the future of our community. Did that progress? Yes. We are also, well, as I said, a lot is happening behind the scenes. In order for this to outlive the next 2 years, we have to do a lot of legwork for policy and procedure and internal governance and decision-making processes. So it's not just about what's happening on the streets and what you see. It's also about improving how we work inside of government and how we design, build, and maintain our projects across the whole system within Fayette County. So it's not just about us getting it right for now, it's getting it right for the future. And so we're also working closely with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, because as you all know, or many know, if you look at Lexington, a majority of our streets are state controlled. All of our major arterials, the major ones being Broadway and Nicholasville Road and Winchester Road. Those are all state controlled, but we all know they are critical to the success of our community. And thankfully, the current administration also passed their own complete streets policy, and so they too believe in what we locally want to achieve, but there's a lot of devil in the details that we're all working through together. We also acknowledge that maintenance is a big part of this. We all walk down the street and see sidewalks that are broken or busted or there's gaps. Even when we do our repaving, that's an opportunity for us to say, when we're repaving, what else can we do? How can we be efficient with our money and our use of said money so that when we're out there, can we add extra striping, narrow lanes, add bike lanes, do other things to achieve our goals of complete streets? So that is another piece of this puzzle, in addition to all the other retrofits that continue to be underway, dealing with intersection designs, adding crosswalks, ADA ramps, and any number of traffic calming measures that continue to work through our Division of Traffic Engineering. So externally, we continue to build partnerships. Like I said, it takes those local, regional, and state partners. We are pursuing grants as they become available so that it can help support our initiatives locally. If you all hear of things, feel free to let us know. I know that we keep an eye on that, but you never know what might fall through the cracks. We also have a seat at the table now. Kentuckians for Better Transportation is a national, it's a national organization, and Kentucky is our local chapter. LFUCG now has a seat at the Board of Directors table, and I am sitting on that as a Complete Streets voice, which I will say I feel very small in that room with railroads and airports and everyone. So it's very interesting, and I love and appreciate that they value the opinion of Lexington and what we are doing to move toward complete streets and at all scales for everyone in our community. And then I'll mention that partnerships also means how do we look at other entities within our community. We're working with Bluegrass Community Foundation, and we're working with Civic Lex on studying how do our policies truly impact people in our community, and how can we work with them to do some case studies throughout our community. And so more details will be coming on that later this year. So before I wrap up, I just want to recap, why do complete streets matter? First and foremost, I have to say safety is number one, because we want to make sure that we are designing it for people. We reduce crashes and injuries and fatalities. And so making sure that our streets are safe for everyone is a primary goal. Also, it's about building our better neighborhoods and a better community. That improving our day-to-day quality of life and bringing people together for stronger social connections is a piece of Complete Streets. Even though we think of it as a transportation process and project, it really is about that piece as well. And so, again, about transportation choices, driving is not the only choice. So having more options, we all believe, is a way to better lives for everyone and make our system work better for us, and ease traffic, reduce sprawl, and make our city more efficient. And this supports that sustainable growth that was mentioned earlier, making more compact, walkable. Development helps us ultimately use our infrastructure more wisely and protect the areas in our lands that we feel are very important. And so I couldn't come without saying that this doesn't happen just because I'm standing here. It happens because there are so many people working on this. Many of you in this room are doing work that supports this in many ways. But also it means that we need you, the people who live, who work, who visit here, to talk about the importance of why we need our public streets and our public spaces to work for us in these ways. When we all work together, our government, our partners, our advocates, and our neighbors, we will be able to progress this more quickly and in an attempt to make Lexington safer, healthier, and more connected for everyone. So if you're excited about Complete Streets, I hope you are. Simple ways to get involved. I mean, I would say you all are probably the people doing this already because you showed up to this wonderful Grow Smart Academy. But please tell everyone you know about this, because I don't think this is a widely known initiative of the city. Please talk to your council members and tell them that you believe this is important. We have a very, very supportive council around this initiative, so, and the mayor as well, who really believes in this. And show up to the public meetings. When you hear about them, please come and be advocates. We often get the we don't want this, but we also want to hear from you all who say we do want this. So please come and show up and tell us the things that you want to support about this and make this a priority for Lexington. So I'll end with just reiterating complete streets. Although it's about streets, it's more than just transportation. It's an investment in our people, and it's an investment in Lexington's future. And it's about creating that safer, more connected, and inviting streets. So every picture I have on this is about that life that happens on the streets. I could show you the cars, I could show you everyone driving, but to me, that's what I'm working toward, is that Halloween night when everyone slows down and everyone's bustling on the street. I mean, why aren't we seeing that more often when people are going to school or to work or a Saturday activity, the lemonade stands. So I get very excited when I think about that. But thank you for spending time with me today and for allowing me to share with you what Complete Streets is. And I'm happy to take any questions. So let me be clear, the action plan is not a plan that identifies every roadway within the community and says, this is how you will design the protected bike lane or the sidewalk or what have you. That is what's happening now. Our design manual is digging into the how, what are the bits and pieces. This year we'll then be doing a study of all of our roadways and identifying where we want to see certain elements incorporated. So to me, I see the next 12 to 18 months as very exciting, because then we can start to say, these are priority modal corridors for protected bike lanes, trails, what have you, and versus another roadway where you might share the road because it is a slow neighborhood street. Not every road can be everything to everyone, so we do still have to prioritize those. So the action plan that exists today, it identifies you need to update your bike ped master plan. You need to assess these modal priorities. You need to update your zoning ordinances. So it doesn't say it specifically, but it is inherently a part of our process that is underway over these next few years. I'll say we've done only a handful of quick builds over the past decade, and so this High Street one was really the first one we've done since 2016, and so it's a success already because we did it. And what we're doing now is we're assessing, okay, how do we institutionalize this process so that we can support more quick builds in the future, and so that we can be as quick as possible, because that's the point of it, but also how can we be mindful of what data, what problems are we trying to solve, what data are we collecting in order to tell us if it was a success or not, and then how do we use that information to inform taking a quick build pilot to something permanent in the future. So I do think that the High Street project is already a success. Do I know that the numbers say that? I don't know that yet. We haven't done the data collection. It will be in place all through this fall, and then we'll take a look at that. But I suspect it's going to tell us that it is. So how can you support this moving forward? Is please, I encourage you, if you think that the High Street project is something you'd like to see more of, please share that feedback. You can do so by emailing me, by emailing your council member, by emailing traffic engineering. We would love to hear that positive support, and that way we can put that as part of our qualitative assessment and report out. But we're still identifying what would be the process for us to identify the next quick build. But believe me, there's plenty of candidates out there. We just want to make sure that we also are equitable in where we do the investments throughout our community, identifying where the need is as well as the opportunities, in addition to where the desire is. Well, I mentioned that we're partnering with Bluegrass Community Foundation and Civic Lex. We recently received a national foundation grant. So we're part of Reimagining the Civic Commons. If you're not familiar with it, it's pretty awesome. Look it up. It is funded by a number of national philanthropic organizations, private philanthropic organizations, who are ultimately supporting this grant initiative for, I want to say 12 cities around the country. Don't hold me on that number, I can't remember. But Lexington was invited to participate. So we have $750,000 to put toward looking at multiple sites throughout our community. And with that, Complete Streets is one element that we were assessing and using some on-the-ground community engagement efforts to identify how quick builds might work, how Complete Streets policies might roll out, and what that impact would be. So I think you'll be hearing about something in the next 6 months or so. I don't know the locations yet, because those are still being determined. I wish I had just a little bit more information on public-private partnerships as far as what you're referring to. Was it the Town Branch Commons? I don't know who submitted the question, but we constantly are trying to partner with folks within the community, because I believe government alone cannot make this happen. We need the support of the private organizations, the philanthropic organizations, the institutions within our community for all of us to come together, because together we're a force. Individually, we are going to move much slower to make change. It depends, right? It all depends on the specific location. There are some places where we will study and say, no, unfortunately we cannot remove a lane of traffic, but maybe we could reduce the size of that lane. And by reducing the lane width, you're slowing people down, but you still may be able to move the same number of cars. That we still have to accommodate vehicles in our community. I mean, it's just where we are. But slowing them down probably means just as much as taking that lane away in those locations. Now, High Street is an example where the question came, why do we need 2 lanes going the same direction? I don't see it utilized all the time. And when the traffic engineers assessed it, they said, you're right, we think this will work. So that's why they were testing it. So I can't give you a blanket answer, because there's not one. It has to be site specific for us to study that. That is an interesting one. You know, I think it will have an impact in some instances, for sure. But there's a place for them, and then there's a place where we shouldn't have them, depending on your goals. I think that's also why it's very important for us over the next 18, 24 months, whatever it may be, to identify these corridors where our priorities are to serve the pedestrian first, or the biker first, over the vehicle first. And so when we start to identify and create those goals on a corridor basis, then we'll be able to identify when a drive-through may not work in that context versus it might work in another. I believe that we have a lot of success. We have a good track record with the federal grant process. Granted, under the current administration, some things are changing, but no matter what your political affiliation, infrastructure has always seen an investment being made into that. So we are just navigating that, just like everyone else, to make sure that we can still be competitive through those discretionary grant programs. At the same time, a lot of the money already comes to our state and to our local MPO, our regional transportation planning process entity, so that we can start to put those toward priority areas such as this. I will say last year, we received a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant of $22 million to invest in redesigning and constructing, not just planning. It is a construction grant in order to redo a portion of New Circle Road. Town Branch Commons, that was due to grants. And so transportation infrastructure, like I said, this is not a year project. This is a decade project when you start talking about a huge corridor change. So that's why it's important to look at those different scales of projects so that we can do those quick builds to get some testing and quick wins while we are navigating that funding cycle and the process for design and construction. I don't know that I am the person to answer that, to be honest with you. That is a little too technical and specific even for my understanding. So I will, have to defer that one to my traffic engineering team. If you're interested, email me and I will get that to them to answer more thoroughly. I think one of our biggest challenges is that we are that wheel and spoke design. I mean, it's so hard for us to redo our roadway systems or make them wider or say we have a new arterial as a new route because that wheel and spoke design has already been well defined for us for a long time. And so also that wheel and spoke design, as I mentioned in this presentation, is most of those major arterials are state controlled. And so even though we may want certain elements or a change made, we can voice that, but ultimately we are not the final decision maker on that, as the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is. That is not unique to just Lexington. That is all across the country that state DOTs control certain routes. I just think because of our road layout and that wheel and spoke design, it's a little more difficult here locally for us to make some changes that we might otherwise make if we weren't trying to navigate that together. It's just one more layer of detail and sign off. Said process does not exist and we're working on it right now. Like I had a meeting today where I've created a flow chart of here's what I think we should do. Like I said, we've only done I think 3 quick builds in 10 years. And so this is new for us too. And so it is my mission in my particular role right now to start to document and institutionalize what these processes are so that it is clear, it is transparent, and that way I have an answer for you next time, and that way we might have a process that is the same for everyone in our community rather than I happen to know so-and-so and I'm going to call them and then it gets into the pipeline. That's not to say that that won't happen as well. We just want to make sure that we have a robust system that's in place for us to analyze need as well as opportunity and make it very clear for you all as community members on how you can participate, because we want to hear what projects you feel are worthy of us exploring. And I'm hopeful that someday that we have a way to do this, and that then there's a toolkit for you to do something yourselves, on certain types of roadways in your neighborhood. But we'll get there. We'll get there.